My entire life, it was told to me, about me, around me, how shy I was. One of my very first self-impressions I had about myself, one of the first words I learned to describe myself was shy. I couldn't argue the point. Everyone who met me told me I was. Everyone that wasn't my immediate family. See, the thing about me was I had two personas constantly occurring. I used to think it was because I felt safe at home and not in public, and those thoughts later started telling me that I was a fake, a fraud. How could I ever say that I had a friend when they didn't know this whole other side to me? I could be loud. In fact, I loved people watching me when I would put on plays and skits for my family. The camera was something I started talking to at an early age, and I always knew that I wanted people to hear me, and that they did. I was a raging child, teenager, early adult. I could smash, destroy, scream every single day of the week if I needed to. I dealt with so many complex emotions, or maybe that was a thing. I didn't deal with them. I expressed them in aggression. So when people told me I was shy, I felt all the more removed from them. That's what I wanted them to think. I had the upper hand in conveying a good little girl mask. All I ever wanted was for people to see the real me, the broken me, the loud me, the funny, chaotic, outspoken, excitable me. See, the thing about being diagnosed with autism later in life is you grow up believing you're the only one who is going through these kind of experiences. It's only when you are given some answers that you're starting to come into yourself and realize that there are others, strangers who you'll probably never meet, who had comparable childhoods. So thanks for allowing me to feel seen and heard and understood in ways that my inner child, teenager, and early adult screamed for. I'm sure that you guys will be able to relate to these experiences. I'm sure that there are so many of us who were described as shy or introverted, and you knew full well that given the right set of circumstances and the right bunch of people, that shyness really wasn't present. So I wanted to explore this a little bit today with you, kind of going over the myths around introversion and autism and why for so many of us it was kind of the first word we learned to describe ourselves with. Let's start off with the definition of what introversion actually is. By Google's definition, it states it is the tendency to be concerned with one's own thoughts and feelings rather than with external things. By this definition, absolutely, I looked shy. I always felt as though I had nothing or little important things to share, and if I did, I feared the reactions of people. So it was far easier and far safer for me to not actually divulge into my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, my humor, any part of me. I didn't really give any part of me, because I think that's what shyness actually is in autistic people. It's learning to not give anything away in order to remain safe, but as a byproduct of that, you don't actually expose any part of your personality. So I want to look now at the difference between introversion and autism social fatigue. A lot of people, and I understand why, believe that introverts and autistic people experience socializing in very similar ways. And this is basically put down to you need to have more time alone than you do with other people. Extroverts are people who, the more time that they are spending with other people, they feel energized, whereas introverts and autistic people feel more drained the longer periods of time, the more conversation that they are having. The difference here between introversion and autism is the social fatigue that comes after, and this has taken me a few years to kind of wrap my head around. Introverts enjoy socializing in moderation. They might prefer small groups, deep conversations, deep connections, and they can still comfortably engage in socialization as long as they have enough time to kind of recharge after the interaction. What I now realize through years of trial and error of my own life is this is not the same with autism. Although these same type of characteristics can exist within socializing for autistic people as they do for introverts, I think where the difference is for autistic people is we experience deep exhaustion, social fatigue, and even sometimes burnout, not just from being around people as such, but from the other traits that make our brains autistic. And for me personally, it is having to mask, having to remember how to script, having to try and read facial expressions and predict what someone is kind of wanting. I mean, this can also look like, forcing eye contact and regulating our facial tone and expressions, the natural overanalyzing that comes as a back and forth within a conversation. The thing that I am trying to point out within what I'm saying is that socializing, relationship building, communication, I don't believe will ever become something that's very natural for our brains. It is something obviously that can build and we can get more confident in it and even start to enjoy the interactions we're having because of the relationships, the intentional relationships that we're starting to find. But I think to its core, we will never be people who have the gift of the gab. It's just not in our makeup, and that's okay. So as I kind of continue down this road of understanding how my brain works, there is a level of acceptance that also comes, and I really do hope that what I'm saying is allowing for some kind of acceptance around yourself, because I think for so many of us, I'm sure you, the viewer right now listening, have experienced just trying to force yourself into situations, into relationships, into friendships, into workplaces where it just didn't really come naturally to you and you judged yourself for it. And I'm just trying to be the kind of little fairy godmother to say, you're going to struggle with these things, and that's okay. That is what this having a different brain is all about. I also want to rule out some myths that are kind of present within the autism world, or perhaps the autism stereotypes that still remain. The first myth is autistic people don't enjoy socializing, whereas introverts just need less socialization. I do see this quite often, but I do see this kind of being talked about, that autistic people don't enjoy connections, do not enjoy friendships, and therefore do not enjoy socializing. And I don't think that this is entirely accurate. I also don't believe that this exists 100% of the time. I think that this can exist for a lot of us, but it is not all the time. In fact, I think autistic people crave deep connections. We just don't like surface level small talk. We like to actually go into conversations and understand the who, what, when, how in a situation and in the context of the story. I also think before I got the diagnosis, it's not that I didn't want to socialize, it's that I couldn't kind of understand why, when I was around friends who also identified as being introverted, why my downtime looked far more like depression at times, being curled up in bed, sleeping a whole lot, just needing to not eat, not talk to people. So I do just want to point out here, there are differences in communication and how we find connection within that communication, if that makes any sense at all. I also just wanted to point out here that a lot of autistic people can identify with traits of being extroverted. Absolutely. I think we can be highly expressive people, highly excitable people, and I can 100% put myself into that category, particularly when I'm around, safe people, when I'm in a safe environment, and when I'm talking about things that matter to me. Number one being music or a favorite singer or band. You know, I won't shut up about it. Everyone that knows me in real life knows this. Honestly, people online probably know this because I mention music within my videos at some point. So for a time period, I can look insanely extroverted. I think where the difference is, though, is that eventually that will crash. What comes up must come down. And if you have an autistic brain, there will be some time that you've got to retreat. You've said everything that you wanted to say. You can be excitable, you can be loud, you can be very outgoing, but there will most definitely come a time that you need that alone time. And so I think it's definitely okay to relate to both introverted and extroverted traits, but I do think at the end of the day you will work and operate differently to both extroverted and introverted people if you are autistic. The last myth that really hit home for me, that I kind of hope will bring some peace to you, the viewer. If you struggle with socializing, you just need more practice. You know, this was something that I believed, particularly as a teenager, as I watched my friends be very competent people in ways that I just wasn't, you know, whether that be talking to the cash register person at a McDonald's or if we went shopping together. I naturally did not know what I was doing, and it wasn't that I wasn't taught these things from my parents. It's that, again, as I was saying earlier, communication, the natural back and forth flow of a conversation doesn't come naturally to me, and I'm so fearful of it. I just believed, okay, if I just do it again and again and again and again, it will get better. And in some ways, sure, you can start to predict a little bit more around those types of interactions. But I think at the end of the day, to the core of who you are, it's not that you are lacking confidence or that you are incompetent. It's that you are autistic. And there are going to be challenges that will be there for the rest of your life. I hope this next statement that I say allows for some weight to come off your shoulders. No amount of rewiring or brain activity, brain practices, socializing, whatever, will allow for your brain to instinctively pick up social cues. This is a part of the autism experience, and it's why you're not shy. It's why you're not introverted or extroverted. You can be all of those things. You can possess all of those traits. But at the end of the day, you do still have a different makeup and different strengths and different weaknesses to a neurotypical brain. I guess I just want to finish this off by saying, be kind to yourself, be gentle to yourself as you're coming to terms with these realizations and these different labels if you're someone that loves a label like me. I hope this video made sense to your brains and allowed for some peace. I am always trying to offer peace within my content, and so if you guys would like to see any more of my content, it's always linked down below. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being a part of my journey and for listening to the words that I have to say. I have such incredible viewers, and I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge you guys. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.